All right. Hey, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we are back taking a look at the tropics. Tonight is September 25th, 2022. This is your late evening tropical update. We're coming in with a quick 11 p.m. update from the National Hurricane Center for Ian. I'm not going to have a video tomorrow morning for you guys, so I'm going to go ahead and record one, put it out tonight with the latest, and I will hopefully have one tomorrow evening for you. But tomorrow's kind of going to be a long day for me in the real life world. But fortunately, I will be off the rest of the week this week to track the progress of Ian, but a little bit more interruptions until then. Anyway, we're going with the latest on Ian this evening. We're looking at Ian on the tropical tidbits water vapor imagery this evening, where we have what is now a quickly strengthening storm. So through most of the day, Ian did not significantly intensify. We kind of thought that could have started as early as this morning, but the storm took most of the day to get itself together. It was still undergoing some structural processes. The upper level outflow hadn't really improved yet, but now we're seeing a lot of classic signs that we have a quickly intensifying hurricane on our hands. You see the upper level outflow in general is much better tonight out of Ian and more quadrants, and the thunderstorm concentration is quickly improving. So this is the satellite presentation for most of the day, just this waxing and waning of pop-up thunderstorms that would fall apart. But in the last few hours, right here, we have some vertical hot towers and much more sustained thunderstorm activity beginning to wrap around and kind of that little half shrimp look around the closed low level center, low mid level centers that are now perfectly aligned. These storms are also beginning to sustain, and you're seeing more mid-level clouds associated around with them, all indications that Ian is quickly intensifying tonight. The evening Hurricane Hunter pass is now left. They'll have another one in there in a couple hours. They found the central pressure around 990, 989 millibars in that range. 992 stamped here, but is a little bit lower. And the flight level winds and SFMR wind readings for the surface coincide with about a 65-mile-an-hour tropical storm. Ian could already be a little bit stronger than that, but that's what we're going to go with the estimation for this evening. But we do expect, and looking at this, expect that Ian is likely intensifying quickly or possibly rapidly tonight. And I would absolutely not be surprised to wake up to Hurricane Ian at 5 a.m. and could be a strong hurricane by tomorrow night. This is the latest from the National Hurricane Center. Hot off the presses at 11 p.m. We have hurricane warnings up for the western parts of Cuba. We have tropical storm warnings up for most of the Florida Keys, at least the southern Florida Keys. And we have a tropical storm watch for parts of southwest Florida. These will spread up the entire Florida Peninsula on the west coast, especially through the coming days ahead. The evening scheduling from the National Hurricane Center does still show that Ian will become a major hurricane within the next 48 to 60 hours, even at 36 hours at this rate. This intensification is pretty unprecedented in a Hurricane Center forecast. They are forecasting this to be, they are about as foot to the floor as they can with the forecast intensity still for Ian. So even though it took some time to get itself going today, it is definitely expected to be a strong hurricane much sooner than later, and this little speed bump over western Cuba is not going to slow Ian down a whole lot. So, looking at the latest track from the Hurricane Center, there are a couple things to note. Number one, had another shift to the east, not a massive shift to the east, but we are locking in somewhere in this region, the Big Bend of Florida, somewhere east of Apalachicola, somewhere around or north of Tampa. We are coming into this being the concise landfall point. I think we're throwing out anything, to the west of Apalachicola, and we're throwing out any hard hooks in the South Florida. So some of y'all are probably thinking, well, yeah, no kidding, but this is somewhat of a big jump, at least for today. And we are seeing the evening runs of the European and GFS models becoming into better agreement on what this may look like. Now, I want to point out two things. Number one, this means that the storm is likely going to get very close to Tampa Bay or potentially go right into Tampa Bay or just northward. And the potential impact to Tampa Bay cannot be overstated today. The potential for life-threatening storm surge, flooding rainfall, high winds over 100 miles an hour is very likely. And we're going to talk more about Tampa Bay's history with these storms tomorrow, but it's pretty short. The Tampa Bay hurricane in 1926 and a storm in 1848 when no one lived here. For major hurricanes, that's all we know of that's actually hit Tampa Bay. The threat to Tampa Bay in terms of the storm surge potential and flooding potential is very, very, very high. And this is where the worst damage is likely going to be, especially if Ian comes into Tampa Bay or directly over. The other thing is we want to look at the timing of this storm. Look at the Hurricane Center's track right here. Wednesday 8 p.m., Thursday 8 p.m. We're talking about a major hurricane slowing down as it approaches the coast. This is Wednesday morning, Wednesday night, but this is Thursday night. We're talking about a distance of maybe 100 miles Wednesday night to Thursday night. Now, the Hurricane Center for now speeds this back up a little bit on Friday, but we're looking at the potential for Ian to slow down. I'm not going to walk through every single different model, but I'll show you the general consensus here from the European and the GFS, at least on the basic track. So we'll back this up a little bit. We have an upper trough over the eastern U.S. that's kind of holding on the beginning of the week. This is drawing Ian northward. It's keeping these two high pressure ridges apart and allowing Ian to have a path northward. This moves over Cuba. As they go into Wednesday, Thursday, this trough begins to exit. Notice how this trough is starting to weaken, it's starting to fill, and it's starting to slowly move away. As it does so, Ian is going to have less of a northward steering flow. So if this trough remains strong, Ian would probably go something like this. But because the trough fills and begins to depart, the steering flow starts to collapse and Ian slows down on approach. This is going to lead to a slower hurricane, and it is going to also become more of an issue for the timing of getting this in and out of here. You can see here by Wednesday night, the trough continues to fill, and Thursday, the trough is almost gone, and Ian just kind of crawls along the Florida coastline Thursday into Friday. The GFS is a little bit longer forecast model, so I can show you the general thing here. Same thing comes up by Tampa Bay, slows down, and then it kind of begins to pick up some more speed Friday night into Saturday. It looks like another shortwave may eject and begin to pick this up, but Ian may slow down for a significant period of time as it approaches the coastline. Now, that is going to present a whole other host of problems. I don't want to get too specific into wind and rain and surge impacts just yet. I want to make sure we're locked onto this track, but the confidence has increased that this landfall is going to be somewhere around the central west coast from Tampa Bay to the Big Bend. This is one of the reasons why the GFS model, our other main global computer model, has been trending more west and more west and more west and is now moving east. This is the 4 runs today. Remember, these computer models run 4 times a day. So this is first thing. This is really last night's model run, but first thing this morning. Well, no, this would be last night's run, early this morning, midday, and tonight, 18Z, and we actually have the 0Z out now. Or I think no, the 0Z is not out yet, but it's going to be out soon, and some of the early 0Z guidance is also about here. So that trend has been coming over and is lining up now with the European model, which has been here all along. So the GFS is probably looks like it's going to have egg on its face on this one for how long it stayed on that west side of the track. But our models are starting to agree. It looks like the scenario is the same. Confidence is increasing that this is going to come up very close to the western coast of Florida or into western Florida and then move up probably into the Georgia region and then eventually into the rest of the southeast U.S. So, again, I don't want to talk too much in the way of impacts, but early indication from the European model, the rainfall coming for this is going to be pretty prolific as well. We're talking about anywhere from 10 to 15 plus inches of rain coming for much of the Florida Peninsula, and this could spread further north. There's going to be a cold front sort of mingled in Ian as it approaches a kind of a dissipating cold front, and this could help train more tropical moisture over all of northern Florida. So we're talking anywhere, from Panama City kind of region over this way. Well, Panama City is further over, but there's more where the panhandle basically starts of Florida, over to the north and to the south. It's just a lot of rain coming here, especially when Ian comes to shore, because again, as this hurricane comes up, it's slowing down and kind of meandering into shore, and that's going to be a lot of rainfall. The European model showing potential for wind gusts. I don't think these are nearly high enough. We could see wind gusts over 100 miles an hour, and then those high-end tropical storm force wind gusts in the 50s and 60s are spreading throughout the peninsula of Florida. So I don't want y'all to pay attention to just the specific landfall point. It's going to be a pretty good sized storm as it comes in, and it's going to have far-reaching impacts, not just near the coast. The other sort of fly in the ointment is the weakening of Ian. It will be trying to weaken on approach. You see the Hurricane Center peaks this at 130 miles an hour, but then begins to bring the storm down before it makes landfall. That's due to some upper level troughing that's going to be in place, the upper level winds out of the southwest as Ian approaches on Wednesday night into Thursday, and also some dry air should begin to evect into Ian and begin to weaken it some. However, that's not going to weaken the storm to a massive degree. It's not going to rip it apart before it shows up, but it could take the edge off, but it's still going to be a powerful hurricane. And if it's only category 1 or 2, If it's big and it's as powerful as we think it's going to get, this is still going to be a wide-reaching, significant impact to the Florida coastline. It could be a very costly hurricane as well. So we're going to have some more for you guys tomorrow as soon as I can. I'll have a couple updates on the page, again, Redbeard's weather page on Facebook, but we'll also have an update video in the evening, even if it's late. I'm going to put something out tomorrow night when I get home. It's just, hopefully it's not super late, but I'll see how the day goes, and we'll go from there. So that's what I got for you guys this evening on your update. We'll be back again as soon as I can. Please respect the storm. Please be preparing and getting ready. The tropical storm force winds can be on station much sooner than later to see arrival time of winds. The most likely arrival time you can see here by Tuesday night. Some of Southwest Florida is going to get in on the tropical storm force winds. By Wednesday mid-afternoon, Central Florida, you're already in on it. And by Thursday morning, Northeast Florida is in on it. So your preparation times are somewhat limited to tomorrow and then a little bit on Wednesday and Thursday, depending on where you live. So please respect it. Please stay safe, and we will have more information for you guys tomorrow. So until then, stay safe. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.